Ahoy and welcome to this week's video. It finally happened. Unfortunately, I got towed in by the RNLI. I'll explain why in this video a little bit and show that rescue happening. However, next week I'm going to do a standalone video which explains all the options that are available to me, the decision-making process, and go in depth about actual RNLI rescue and stuff like that. So that'll be next week's video. But this week you will see me get towed in by the RNLI, which is unfortunate but necessary, I believe. So I set off in this week initially from Ramsgate on the southeast of the UK and head through the Dover Strait onto the south coast. So yeah, if you're watching this early and ad-free on the website, thank you very much for your support. It's basically £1 a month, and you get all the videos early, ad-free, and other videos and blogs as well, sort of thing. So if you're interested in that, go give it a look at the bumblingsailor.co.uk. Can't even say my own website thing. Right, enough waffling. Let's get into the video.
Alright, if you follow the Facebook group, you'll know that I've been stuck in Ramsgate for 10 days. I did my back in when I was about to leave. It's been gruesome really, but I've popped a lot of painkillers, so I'm making a break for it. It's as simple as that. I can't afford to stay here. So yeah, you'll know already where I get to. I don't have a clue. I'm going to see what the situation is like when I get to Eastbourne, and then Newhaven, then Brighton. Have a look at times, because the weather picks up in the Solent tomorrow afternoon. If I can make it there by 1400, I'll be happy. If I have to motor all the way, I won't make it there by 1400, so I'll have to duck into Brighton and borrow some money for a week's berthing. But I won't force myself to push on. Just because of money, I'm not doing it. So yeah, that's the plan. I've warmed the engine up, but just looking at the tidal flow chart, I'm still a bit early. I got a bit eager to go, so I've got rid of everything apart from 3 fenders. You can see my midship cleat is about in line with the centre cleat of the pontoon, which means I don't need to do a fancy quick release spring. I've just done a quick release straight onto that centre doodad. So I'll strip the bow and stern lines off, step aboard, and then recover that line from the cockpit. I'm back out. There's effectively 0 wind at the minute, which will be nice. It fills in after I get round Dungeness, which will be nice. It'll be on the beam, 12 to 14 knots overnight, which is ideal. I'll just have a reef in the main and reef the headsail as required. So yeah, if I can do that, I'll probably make 6-7 knots, in which case I'll get to Haslar. If I can't do that, then I won't get to Haslar. But you already know where I get to, so why am I saying this? I don't know. Right, it's going to chill out for a little bit, let the tide turn a bit more, and then get going. Right, we're away. Managed to get the main up. That was a lot of fun with the sore back, but we're done. We're heading near the Goodwin Sands now, so I've left my depth instruments on for the time being. I'll come through this channel, it'll be fine. The tide's going to turn in our favour in a bit, and we should pick up a couple of knots of tide, which will be nice. And then we're away. The wind's supposed to fill in overnight, which will be good from the south east, so that'll give us a broad reach. So hopefully we'll get some sailing done, pick up some speed, and we'll be alright. As it stands, we will not make it to Hasler, but it is a long journey, so things will change. Right, I'll probably speak to you in a few hours or something, or at sunset. Well, this is a little bit spectacular. Beautiful sunset on its way, just passing the Downs Port Lachlan marker. The white cliffs of Dover are just over there. I'll zoom in with my phone so you can see them. And just over there is France. I'll zoom in on my phone so you can see that as well. Yeah. Je regarde français. No, La France. Or some other absolute aberration of the French language. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's spectacular out here. Not a drop of swell or anything like that. The wind is filling in a little bit, but it's too close to the nose. However, when I turn the corner in an hour or so, should be on the beam, get the headsail out, pick up a bit of speed. I need to average between 5.5 and 6 knots to make Hasler, I think. So yeah, we'll see. She can do it under sail, easy. It's just having enough wind to sail. So we'll play it by ear. But yeah, effectively coming around this corner past Dover and towards Dungeness, I'm going to pick up 2 knots of tide in favour. And when I get past Dungeness and the tide turns, it's only going to be 1 knot against. So I've picked up an extra knot for 2 hours, which is 0.05 knot averaged over the 20 hours, something like that. It all counts. We need it. Yeah, so plodding on. I've done that thing where I put my fairly top on and not the bottoms, because it started getting cold, and then it'll get a bit colder and I'll think, oh, I need my bottoms on, so I'll have to strip absolutely everything off to get the bottoms on, instead of just putting the bottoms on straight away. But you know, this is the thing. Yeah, I don't know if I spoke about Ramsgate. I'll never voluntarily go there again. The town, beautiful, marina staff, great, people, great, everything fantastic. The only trouble is there is a horrible, disgusting swell that comes through there. All of the boats in there have just got damage to the top sides from getting walloped against the pontoons all the time. Yeah, awful. If you get in the top one behind the lock, I'm sure it's fine, but I didn't. So yeah, that was that. Right, I'll wait for the sun to set, see how we get on. All is well. Touch wood. Touched it. The sun is setting. I'm going to be going past Dover in about an hour, which is an incredibly busy ferry port. So I'm going to stay a couple of miles off, and I'll report in with the VTS when I pass the South Foreland Light, and then usually they ask to check in again when you're a few hundred metres away from the entrance. But if I'm a couple of miles off, you should be fine. I'll just let them know of my intentions. So you remember when so the video I've released while I was sat in Ramsgate is the one where I crossed the Irish Sea. That's how far the videos are behind. And I was sat in the companionway like this, and I was saying like how uncomfortable it is. I might make a chair or something like that. And an absolute Diamond in the comments said, just put a fender there. I'm like, so simple and yet so genius. So yeah, I've got a fender, and it is the most comfortable seat in the world. I'm out of the bit of breeze. It's glorious. So yeah, this is where I shall be perched. Yeah, that's that. I'll show you Dover or something. The White Cliffs are over yonder. However, the White Cliffs that you see on TV and stuff like that is generally sort of Seven Sisters and Beachy Head sort of area, which is New Haven, Eastbourne sort of way. Unfortunately, I'll be going past there in the dark, I think. Yeah, I should be. I'll be going past there in the dark, so you're not going to see them. So I'm sure if you just Google it, you'll be able to see a much better picture of it than I could ever take anyway, so it'll be right. Yeah, I'm currently looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 ferries that I can see. If you look on the AIS, the place is awash with them. So I'll just scoot along the edge of that TSS, traffic separation scheme. Right, I don't want to talk too much because every time I do the video ends up an hour long because people complain. But then again, what am I supposed to do? Not film anything? I've tried releasing 2 different versions, a shorter like 20 to 30 minute version and then a full version a couple of days later. That seems to do alright. Maybe I'll continue with that on the longer videos. Yeah, we'll see what happens. If I keep going like this will be one of those longer videos, won't it? Bit of swell coming around the headland. Right, catch you in a bit. Radio, that there is the port of Dover. You can see the ferries. It's like one in and out every 10 minutes or something like that. We have this ferry over here which will pass in front of me. I've spoken to the lady on VTS, let them know of my position and intentions. They've asked me to maintain 1 nautical mile at all times and listen on 7.4. Well, I've set up to be over a nautical mile off anyway, so that should be all good. We're doing 6.3 knots with an ETA of 11:30, which it would be perfect.
If you can just stand by where you are there, I have one phone to depart and then I'll get you in shortly.
Yeah, but my speed is going to decrease, so we'll see how it goes. I just spoke to Alistair, and he said Brighton are only letting boats in an hour, 2 hours either side of high water, which is unfortunate. So I'll assess the situation when I get to Eastbourne because that's accessible 24 hours. It just means that it's a longer leg from there to Haslar. So it'll be sort of departing in no light and arriving in no light, or overnighting it.
Good evening.
Right, anyway, I need to concentrate on this. So bloody cool. So I've got one dude coming out.
I'll call you back short to graph number 2.
He's the stand-on vessel, so I need to keep an eye on. Yeah, concentrate and stuff. Okay, we have one outbound, and Dunkirk Seaways is now going inbound. So my main concern is anybody coming out, because they're the stand-on vessel. Anybody coming in from this side, I'm the stand-on vessel. Obviously you do your best to stay out of the way, but they are the rules of the road. I'm definitely not going to argue with the ferry about it, but you know, those are the rules of the road. They're there for a reason. You start doing something outside of that, everybody's just confused. So yeah, I have lights on the horizon all the way over there, of things inbound, but it looks like it might have just timed well for me to dart across in between ferries. So yeah, that's good. We're about to lose the light. Gorgeous, you know, absolutely stunning. yeah, we'll settle in for the night, see where we end up. Hopefully all will be smooth and beautiful and nice. That's what we want, that's the dream. Hello, can you see me? Are you in there? Yes. Right, so you'll be able to see the sail probably. Put the headsail out. Still got the masthead light on because I'm motoring. Yeah, it's picked me up about a knot of speed. I'm now doing around 7 knots. I've got 2 knots of tide with me. That puts me at about 5 knots through the water, which will almost get me there. However, the wind is due to increase during the night, not by much, but enough to sail in. If I motor sail it, I've got the fuel for it, then it's entirely likely I should make Hasler, but we shall see. Yeah, I'm about 2 hours away from Dungeness, which is my next major landmark. Once I've got around that, I'm going to be punching tide by a couple of knots for at least a couple of hours. So that's going to be a bit poo, but that is what it is. Yeah, all is well. I shall check in as we pass Dungeness. Yeah, 7.4 knots now. Yeah, so the average would be alright, I think. We'll see how it goes. That's Dungeness power station and lighthouse we're coming past. It'll be a beam of us in about 10 minutes. Tide's turned against now. I'm doing 5.5 still, which is alright. Wind's picked up slightly, so I'm getting some drive out of the sails. Once I'm a beam of the lighthouse, I'll turn maybe 10 degrees to starboard. And yeah, trim the sails again, and then settle in for the long slog against the tide. But it is what it is. Thing is, if you're doing a 26-hour journey, you got 2 tides and you're fighting 2 tides really, so you can only do what you can do. Right, if nothing else happens, I'll probably just check in at sunrise or something like that. So it's almost 3 AM. This here that you probably can't see is the old Royal Sovereign lighthouse. So they're doing some work on it. It's got its associated cardinal marks all around it. I don't know if you can see those flashing. They've done some work on it to remove the accommodation block, and they're doing something else. I'll tell you about it in post, about now. Yeah, so pretty cool. Unfortunately not seeing it in daylight, but it is where it is. Sea state's got up a little bit, but just enough to sort of make you unsteady on your feet. We heeled over. I'm still motor sailing, doing between 6 and 6.5 knots, with an ETA of between 1200 and 1300, which is good. The tide is about to change in my favour as well, for a little while, so yeah, hopefully we should be making it there. Don't want to jinx it, so I won't say it, but yeah, we'll see how we go. If nothing else happens, I shall get in touch with you. I'll see you in the morning. Ahoy! You join me down below. I'm gonna have a nap, so it doesn't matter that I'm ruining my night vision. Yeah, we're about to go around Beachy Head in half an hour or so, and then it's open water all the way to Shoreham wind farm. I've elected to go on the outside. I've got tide in my favour, or I'm starting to. and the tidal streams are stronger further out, so I'm going to stay out and then dive back in later before the tide turns. Yeah, it's a little bit rolly and fast, but to be fair, I'm doing like 7.4 knots, so it's to be expected. I've eased the engine off a little bit. Yeah. Oh, and we'll be passing Newhaven. If you've been with me from the beginning, 1, you must be nuts. 2, thank you. And 3, you'll know that that's where everything started. This whole sailing journey, I set off from there in Little Demetrius. So technically, when I go past there, I'll have circumcised the UK, if you count the previous trips. So yeah, that'll be nice. But until then, I'm going to have a snooze. I think it's about 3:30. I haven't had a kip yet. I'm not even that tired really, but I'll try. Yeah, and then we'll catch up in a bit. Bye. Can you see me? Yeah. Right, so over there somewhere is Newhaven, which means I have technically circumcised the UK. Congratulations me. I'm going to celebrate by hopefully having a sleep because I'm exhausted. This over here is Brighton. We have a wind farm that you might just be able to see through the window over there. We also have first little telltale signs of dawn. I've just hove the boat to check the water from the exhaust because I'm on a port tack. The exhaust is on starboard. I'm heeled over. The exhaust is underwater, so I've got no way of knowing if there's water coming out of it. So I hove the boat to, which brought it out of the water and checked that there were water coming out just in case. So that's fine. Check the fuel level. That is fine. And yeah, so give it a couple of hours for the sun to come up, hopefully warm up a bit because I'm getting cold now, by which time I'll be at the end of the this thing, wind farm. Then I'll be turn up into the Solent and disappear. 45 miles or so left. I'm doing anywhere between 6.5 and 7.5 knots. Quite a bit of that is tide, so I'll lose that. He's saying I'll get there at 12:30ish. I expect that to increase. I'm expecting 1400, I reckon, but we shall see. After the wind farm, between the wind farm and Selsey Bill, there are loads and loads of big commercial fishing vessels. So I'll have to avoid those. No doubt they're trawling, so I need to be cognizant of that. Yeah, apart from that, nothing much to report. I've had about 10 minutes nap, that's it. I don't feel too bad, to be fair. What I don't want to happen is feel alright now, but then when I get into the Solent, when it's busy and I need to be on the ball, being exhausted then. That's the dangerous bit, so you know, we'll assess that when we get to it. Once I get past the wind farm, I might try and have another little nap, see what happens. But yeah, that is an update. It is very nearly dawn. Hoping for a good sunrise. Check that out. It's pretty epic. Sun's well and truly coming up now. Won't be long. Still next to the wind farm. I will be for another hour. Yeah, I've just been genning up on the approach into Hasler. You've got to go down this little small ships channel and do certain things and stuff like that, because obviously Portsmouth is a navy base, so they don't let you mess around there. So yeah, there's a procedure I need to follow. So yeah, I need to be well rested for that really, so I'm probably going to go and get my head down. yeah, it's not overly complex, but you know, we'll see. I'm going to enjoy this first though. I'm pretty sure the impeller's gone again. Shut the engine down. The sea stake's really building up, which isn't useful. But I'll leave the sailing for the time being. Let the engine cool down for 10-15 minutes, and then go and inspect the impeller and see if it is done or not. Hopefully I'll be able to close the seacock. It never rains, it pours. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but the sun looks good though, wherever it's gone. Yeah, I'll give it 10 minutes, get past this wind farm and see how we get on. Timing is not looking good. Oh, yet again, I can't close the seacock. I'm gonna have to do it with the seacock open, which is not good. But it's either that or have no engine. So we'll just have to see how this goes. Oh dear. It doesn't help that this impeller housing is too hot to touch for any length of time. There should be water pissing out of this, there's no water. The impeller is fine. No water going in. This should be pissing out water now. Fuck. That changes things. That's completely seized. It wasn't seized before. I don't know what to do here because I now have no engine. Right. Right. I've got no engine. Let's get outside and check on things and then we'll assess. Alright, I've been talking to Jez and trying to diagnose it. Basically the engine will run for a couple of minutes and then it has no water. So I think there's something inside the sail drive leg that's been drawn into the seacock and blocking it. And there's nothing I can do about that. Not out here anyway. The issue that I've got now is that it's sort of 12 knots gusting 22, so I can only have enough sail out for 22 knots, so when it does 12 knots like now I'm doing 2 knots, which means by the time I'm getting towards the Solent it's going to be blowing 30 plus knots there. Yeah, it is a less than ideal situation. The sea stake's getting up as well, it's pretty uncomfortable. Shoreham is back that way. They have a lifeboat and may have lift out facilities, but it's a drying harbour, so I can't go there. I can press on towards the Solent, but the weather's going to get worse and worse and worse. And I've got nowhere to go when I get there because I can't drive anywhere. You know, I can't justify calling a mayday now because I'm under sail and I'm safe. Maybe if I call the Coast Guard, let them know about the situation and maybe get them to advise me. wonder if Shoreham would take me into Brighton. Fucking expensive there though. I'm gonna need a lift out. Oh. Pretty fucked here, I'll be honest with you. I have a rock and I have a hard place. We'll see. Alright, I can't suffer from get there-itis. Fighting the tide, I was doing 2.5 knots. That's going to put me in a dangerous position, being in the Solent with nowhere to go, no engine and 30 knots. So I've had to... fucking weather. So I've had to turn around. I'm going to head towards like Brighton or Shoreham, probably Brighton, and see if I can get in there somehow. I'll give them a call and see what's happening, what the chances are. Yeah, we'll see. I need to get closer to shore because I've got no phone reception either, which is fucking useful. Right. I'm embarrassed to say that the big orange taxi is coming for me. Coast Guard just rang me back to say they're going to dispatch Shoreham lifeboat to come and take me in. Devastated that I've had to get them boys out, boys and girls. Did interrupt their Saturday. I shall apologise profusely, but I am what you call shit out of options. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Right, let's see what footage I can get. Alright, so it is now obvious that the RNLI are coming to rescue me. I'm going to do a full video about the rescue, about the decision-making process that led me to it, about the weather, decision making, and about the process as well of what happens, because you don't actually call the RNLI. What you do is you liaise with the Coast Guard, you make them aware of a situation, and then they send assets that they believe are the appropriate ones or available ones. So what I'd actually done is called the Coast Guard by phone because I had a VHF issue and said, look, I'm out, I've got engine failure, I'm under sail, I'm perfectly safe, I don't require immediate assistance. However, my only safe port that I'm able to make is Shoreham, and unfortunately I can't sail through the lock there. It would be irresponsible to even try in 20 plus knots of wind, unfamiliar port, unfamiliar locks, unfamiliar marina, etc. So this is the issue I've got. It's not going to be an issue for another couple of hours. I'm on my way there, I'm 7 miles off. Do you have anybody available? And I was thinking like Sea Star or something like that to assist me in getting alongside once I've got to Shoreham. And the phone call I received back was, oh, we're sending the all-weather lifeboat out to you. I'm like, that's not necessary. Please. It's absolutely fine, but I really appreciate that these guys came out. I was perfectly safe, but it's still great having them there and knowing that no matter what happens, you have people that will come and help you. So yeah, I was a bit gutted that they sent the all-weather out. I was expecting to get practically alongside and just get towed in by the little one. But yeah, they basically called me up and said, there's no point in us towing you because you're heading under sail at 7 knots, which is faster than we could do. So yeah. Then when we got closer in, so what happened was the all-weather went back ashore. I dropped down to just the main and sort of did a little side-to-side across the entrance while they swapped over and got the inshore lifeboat. Put the nice lady onto my boat to give me some assistance, and then started to rig up a tow on a long line towards the marina entrance. So I'll probably get into more detail in the other video, but basically when you're towing in swell like this, which isn't that bad at this time, but it's enough, you don't want to make up alongside and have the boats bashing into each other, so you put a long tow on until you're into sheltered waters and then make up alongside, which I will fast forward to now. Actually, we'll just run through them setting up the tow in real time, just because it's quite interesting watching the professionals work. Quite cool actually. So the lady on the helm, whose name I've forgotten, she works at the marina and super nice. Spoke to her for the following days and stuff, so lovely. But you know what I'm like with names, I barely remember my own. She's actually a new helm, so she was still training and stuff like that. She did an absolutely fantastic job, particularly as you'll see coming up. We basically had to get through the lock gates, which are effectively about 4 inches wider than my boat plus the lifeboat, so she did so well. She was fantastic and a really nice person to boot, as I'm sure the RNLI attracts that sort of person who are nice and helpful people. So I think the discussion that we're having, sadly the audio on this 360 camera is quite bad, is that we'll put a long tow on, get me into the wind, head to wind, get rid of the main, and then they'll tow me in. You can see the gentleman holding the line out of the water there. Obviously you can't just let that line dip into the water, because if it goes around their prop, then we've then got two boats who can't move under their own steam. Yeah, that's the plan. And there they go, making sure that you feed out the rope away from their prop, and then get tension on the tow and bring me where they need to bring me. You can see the entrance there and how close we are. Have I still got the main up at this point? Oh no, I've already dropped the main, haven't I? Oh, I'm just being an idiot. I dropped the main at some point. Yeah, I've already dropped it. I think I just went head to wind and ditched it without the camera on. Yeah, so fast forward and then we'll fast forward to the next step. Okie dokie, once inside now, we're in still water, so they can bring in the tow line, get it back ashore. But what they're actually doing here is, because it's on my bow, they're now using that basically as a spring on their bow, which is their first line that they'll get on, and then they'll drop back so that the aft end of their vessel is further back than my stern. I was actually bizarrely talking to Hayden, so we do tows in the marina where I'm working. Hayden is basically the tow guru, and I like just absorbing information off him. So he's talking about how he puts the lines on so that he maintains the stern of their vessel aft of your stern, or the tow vessel stern, to give manoeuvrability and leverage, and how to tension the lines correctly so that you still have a little bit of movement, so that you can actually, particularly on a motor vessel, not so much on a sailboat, you can actually bring the two sterns of the vessel apart and push on the centre of the boat rather than just being able to push directly forwards. So yeah, really interesting. These guys are absolutely fantastic. You can see I'm still a bit nervy coming up, because we're still subject to the wind, if not the sea state, so we're now sort of blowing into the shallower part of this entrance as we continue to tie up the lines. The guys got me to check the depth sounder once or twice just to make sure. So yeah, I'll fast forward the mechanics of getting this tow in, and then we'll get on our way towards the lock. Alright, we're coming up to the lock now. Excuse the camera angle. The camera actually came loose and went upside down on the Dewberry Dangery. So yeah, you were basically looking upside down and back to front. So apologies for that. If you wanted something professional, you'd be somewhere else, wouldn't you? At the end of the day, I'm just some idiot from up north trying to drive a boat and record it. So yeah, you can see ahead of us now just how narrow this lock entrance is. There is a commercial lock to the right of this one, which is to the south of it, which is far wider. They must have something against taking us through there, though. That would have been easier. You can see I'm just fending off, which just to make sure. Can you imagine how difficult this is, driving another boat, using your boat through? And you can see on their stern, they're not too far away from the other side of the lock there. So yeah, expertly done, fantastic job, thank you very much. I believe these are floating pontoon. It is a floating pontoon, I recall from when I exited there. So the great thing about floating pontoons in locks is you can just tie up to them and they go up and down with the level of water in the lock, so you don't need to let out your lines to give slack or anything like that. Beautifully brought aside. I just get a breast line on, I think, with a very tied up rubbish looking line. And yeah, we'll skip through to the next bit. Alright, water level up, and we're about ready to cast off. The chap is just discussing with the helm the plan, stuff like that, of how we're going to do it. The difficulty with this, obviously, is they have a stern drive outboard. If you try and make off forwards from that position, all you're going to do is push the stern of my vessel up against the floating pontoon and rub it all down the side. So you need to go astern to get the stern off, and then at some point, which just comes from experience, they'll knock out of gear, turn the outboard, and then go forwards to bring the boat around. You can see what also makes it difficult is the exit to the lock. There is a dog leg, so where you're made up is not actually in line with the exit, so we need to get out to the left hand side of your picture there to get out of there. Just make always great having a roving fender, so somebody on board with a roving fender, super useful. And away we go. As you can see, the gentleman in the rib is just giving some guidance and stuff like that as part of the training. But honestly, such a super job done. And you can see that they're fending off one side and we're practically touching the other side. And here we go. Again, you can see that there is just no space between. Cause my boat's reasonably beamy for a 30-foot boat. She's 3 meters wide, and then the lifeboat must be at least what, 1.3, 1.5, something like that. So you're looking at 4.5 meter of beam there. And that was that. We're through the lock into the marina. So I'll fast forward this next bit up until we get made up alongside, and then I'll chat to you at the end. But effectively, we went over to a hammerhead at the marina, got all set up to stay there, and then the lock keeper messaged to say no, we have a quarantine area on the other side where vessels that have been towed in and stuff like that need to go there. So we got took over to there, and as you'll see in the video, it's not for vessels my size. So basically we made up, but all I had was a really long bow line, which I had to make up 2 lines together to get to a cleat, because they set up for huge ships, and then a stern line, which is a really long spring back effectively. So the slightest bit of wind was taking the boat off 2 or 3 feet off the dock, which obviously just can't do. So they very, very kindly spoke to the harbour master on my behalf and said, look, this isn't going to work for this chap. He's not going to get on and off his boat. And they allowed me to move over to the marina hammerhead, which I stayed and effected repairs. So yeah, that was that.
So there it is. As I said, I ended up back over onto the hammerhead in the actual marina instead of the industrial berth sort of thing that I was on, which is super handy. And then the repairs had to start. So I got alongside at maybe 11 a.m, something like that. I was utterly exhausted. So I slept that night, basically. And then you'll see the repair videos and how I got around this issue coming up next week. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Everybody's going to have an opinion on this. What's that saying? Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one and most of them stink. Anyway, yeah. So next week I'll do a full explanation of what happened and why it happened and all the rest of it. So yeah. For now, thank you very much for watching and goodbye.